like, how'd you feel when you guys found out you were pregnant?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
We
that.
can start there.
Yeah.
You had your baby first.
Okay.
She has a 2-year-old.
Yeah. I have a 2-year-old daughter. She's turning 3 next week. But so how it all started, I remember
You had sex with Rigo.
I was sexually active, obviously.
Oh, shit,
very
really?
active, very active. And I was kind of on and off with birth control. I didn't really take it serious. Oh, sorry. I didn't really take it serious. I just I always thought, I don't know, for some reason I would never get pregnant.
God was like, bet.
No, dude. And so I was always irregular too with my period, so I never knew when to expect it. And so that made it more difficult to tell like if I was pregnant or not. And so 1 month I got my period, and then so I obviously like wasn't scared, didn't think nothing of it. And then I ended my period, and then I got it again like a week later, and I was like, oh, something's up. And then I remember I just felt weird, you know, I need to take a pregnancy test. So my boyfriend, I told him, and he went to the Dollar Tree and he got
Dollar Tree going good.
I think, yeah, he went and got 1 pregnancy test, and I was like, you know, I didn't take it super serious either. Like, I just had a feeling, but I was like, nah, I just got my period. But anyways, I took it, and I remember it said I was pregnant, and I was laughing like, oh, this is not real.
Freaking
like,
Dollar
yeah, this shit, no. So he went back and he got 4 pregnancy tests. Dude,
he was like,
we gonna find out today. So I took all 4, and they all said I was pregnant. And at that time, I was still like in disbelief. I didn't believe. I was like, no, this is not happening to me. And at the time, I was getting really bad pain in my hip. And I remember I was telling my mom about it. She's like, oh, you know, have them take you to the doctors. So we went to the doctors, and we were thinking, okay, let's just confirm if we're pregnant or not there. But at the same time, I wanted to get checked on my hip. So I went, and the doctor was like, oh, you're having hip pain? He's like, he's like, it could be your appendix. I'm sending you to the ER. So I went to the ER, and she was like, oh, you're fine. You're just pregnant. And she was like, you're 5 weeks pregnant. And I was like, oh my God. Like, so we sat in the ER till 6 in the morning. Yeah. We found out. We were sitting in the waiting room, and we're like, what are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do? And I remember like I always told myself I would never get an abortion. Like, that's just out of the question. Like, I wrote essays about it. I was like, I felt really strong on this topic. I would never do that. That's just my personal like beliefs and opinions. And then that came up. Like, I was like, that was actually one of the first options. Like, I was like, am I gonna get an abortion? Like, you know, I can't have a baby right now. So what it did, so I told them, because I sent them a picture. I think I sent a picture of you guys to my pregnancy test, and you guys were like, oh, what are you guys like, what are you gonna do? And it was like a debate of if I should have a abortion or not. And at the time, my boyfriend was super scared, and he was like, no, I don't want you to have an abortion. And then he wanted me to have an abortion. He was like, no, like, I'm not ready to be a dad. Like, I can't do this. Like, I'm scared. Like, no, we're too young. So it was kind of back and forth with the feelings, and I already had a lot of emotions going on. So I was like, okay. So I made an appointment to get an abortion, and I remember the day of, like, I was just like, I can't do it. Like, it's just, I can't. So I was super scared, and then I was like, I can't do it. And so I didn't go. And then I remember I made a second one at Planned Parenthood, and I really was gonna go, and he was gonna take me. And then I remember, like, I told him I couldn't, and so he kind of like, I guess, was upset that I wasn't going through with it. But it was just like a gut feeling inside. I knew I would regret it, so I didn't want to live with that for the rest of my life. Like, I was like, no, like, I wouldn't be happy doing this. So I didn't. And
you were still down though when you were pregnant. Remember when we were gonna go fuck up one of little Daisy's ex-boyfriend's car? I'm like, and we're like, fuck that, let's not tell her, because she's not gonna let us go fuck up his car. Let's go fuck that fool up. And she's like, I wanna go. We're like, bitch, you just fucked, all pregnant, all drive the car. We didn't find out Crystal was pregnant.
For real, Crystal hit that
Crystal
shit.
didn't tell us she was pregnant till she was
until
until
her stomach was out there.
Yeah.
And like,
she literally showed us like,
I remember you showed up to breakfast just like bam.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh yeah. I never really used birth control because I just never liked the idea of like putting things that are like man-made into your body. I know there's so many other things that we put on our body that are man-made, but whatever.
Like hormonal stuff.
Hormonal shit, I didn't like. So me and Derek would just use like condoms, you know, the old school method.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, I always got my like menstrual cycle regularly, and so I did skip December. So I guess I got pregnant in November, sometime in November, and then I skipped December, which Derek was already like excited about it, and he was like, oh my god, you are pregnant, blah blah blah, and I was like, shut up, no I'm not. But in the back of my head I was like, dude, you're fucking pregnant. And then January came along and I didn't get my period, and I was just like, fuck dude, like this shit got real, like shit got real quick. And then I was like, shit dude, all right, like I've always like for so many years I've eaten really healthy. The only thing is like December I had drank or whatever, obviously for New Year's, and then in January I was like, okay, I'm not gonna drink anymore because I just did not want to face the fact of like, yes, you're pregnant. Like,
so you never got tested, or
so I didn't want to test. Yeah, I prolonged that, and then until February I skipped again my 3rd month, and then Derek was like, yo, like,
what are you doing?
We gotta take the test. like you're taking too long now. And I was like, okay, so we got
the legs hanging out. The legs are hanging out.
Derek's already planning to
You feel a little fish.
Derek wanted to tell the whole world. If it was up to him, the whole world would have known. But by the first, so Derek was super excited, but I was like scared shitless. And then, cause I used to say like, I don't want to have kids until I'm 30 or whatever. Like I don't know. I used to say that in my head and tell people that. But then we got like 2 pregnancy tests. I don't know from where, but then they both came out positive. Well, it came out like 1 line and then 1 line faded. So I was like, nah, there's a chance.
You're like, you see that? That's a no.
Yeah, and so we Googled it. We're like, all right, let's Google it. And then
Derek's like, please.
Yeah, and then but people put like, there was a lot of people putting like, no, if the 2nd line does come out, even if it's faded, that's a 99.9% yes. Like you, the freaking test didn't want to face the fact either.
They're like, oh no, girl, try. Bitch, I'm trying. You're pregnant too hard,
I know, fuck. Okay, but like I took the test and I didn't even want to see it. Like I gave it to Derek and I was like, don't even tell me. I don't want to tell me. And he was just like, I was like, okay, fine, tell me. Like, what is it? And then he's like, I don't even remember his words. I think he was just like, you are, like, and I was like, fuck, dude, like, what the fuck? It felt so unreal. Like, I felt numb. Like, I didn't even feel like a dream. Like, I was like, I don't even know what the hell I was thinking. I don't even think I could sleep that night. Then I kind of started crying, and I was like, fuck. But he was like excited. He's like, it's cool. Like, it's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be so nice. Blah, blah. And I was like, fuck, how am I gonna tell people? Because I know that so many people were like, nah, she'll never get pregnant. So I was like, what the fuck am I gonna say to people that think I'm never gonna
that doubted me?
Yeah, I was like, fuck, dude, like there's so much shit that I still need to accomplish, and like this is happening right now. But I was like, well, the first person I wanna tell, because it's like the most one I was scared about, was my mom. And I was like, I felt like once I told my mom, I was gonna feel like, okay, like the whole world
easier.
Yeah, exactly.
A big weight off your shoulders.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Mom knows, yeah.
Yeah, and then I didn't want to tell her until I knew what the sex was, like, so I could, I don't know, surprise
Be
her.
like, hey, I'm pregnant.
No, but it wanted to wait longer.
Yeah,
to make it real.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because it's hard.
Yeah, it's
like,
hard.
you know.
But okay, so then I found out I was pregnant, and then the next day I like called the clinic and I was like, hey, like I'm pregnant, blah blah blah. And then they're like, well, you'll have an appointment until next month, until the 4th month. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, okay, I thought it was gonna be more urgent, like, girl, why haven't you came in and like shit like that. But no, like they're like, well, the first 3 months they kind of just like watch you, just because there's so many like miscarriages during that time. So I guess they don't really waste their time on like doing all kinds of things to you anymore.
Unless you make it to the next
Yeah, unless you make it to the next
then it's
trimester.
like, all right, you good, you passed the level.
Yeah,
Come on
exactly.
in.
Yeah, and so then I went, and when I heard the heartbeat, I started crying because that just like made it super official. I have the video of, I think Derek took me a video of that, and then and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. And then a couple weeks after that, I was already at like 20 weeks. So they were like, you're gonna know the gender already, and I was like, holy shit, like everything's happening so fast. And then
well, you waited long, girl.
I know.
You just
waited till like the day of her fucking water break.
Dude, I know. And then I told well, the thing is also like I was really thin back then, so it's like I was able to hide it for such a long time and be able to say like I'm bloated, like to be able to kind of like push it off to the side. And then once I found out the gender, I like wanted it to be a surprise for me and my mom. And then we go to my mom's house, and I tell my mom like, Mom, I need to tell you something. And she's like, what is it? And I was like, fuck. Like I was like, but like, please don't be mad at me. And then she's like, what is it? She's like, you're gonna because I have my associates already, but I haven't, like, I got transferred out. I was transferring out to like Cal State LA, and I had already like got my denies and my acceptance or whatever, and on wait lists on some. And she's like, you are transferring. And I was like, no, I'm still not transferring to that. Yeah, and then she's like, you got a new job, or like you booked a commercial or something. And I was like, no. I was like, Mom, I'm pregnant.
Mom got the best.
And she's like,
that's the worst.
You're transferring. Or yeah, I was like, I'm pregnant. And she's like, and I started crying again. And she's like, why are you crying? And then, mind you, like, my brother was about to have a baby too. Like, me and his girlfriend were pregnant at the same time. We had just had her baby shower. So my mom was like, why are you crying? This is such a blessing for you and for me. Like, God's giving me a granddaughter and a grandson. Like, so beautiful, yada, yada, yada. And then I was just like, I just told her like, yeah, but there's so many things that I still haven't accomplished yet. Like I just felt like, oh my god, it's happening so soon. And she's like, Crystal, and she looked me straight in the eye and she's like, Crystal, I know you, and I know that this is not gonna stop you. She's like, and if anything, this is gonna motivate you and push you even more, so don't even worry about that. And it has, like, it has. Yeah, you guys said it.
And Crystal made pregnancy look like it was easy.
Yeah.
Easy as fuck.
I would sometimes forget that I was not pregnant, that I was pregnant. Like, I would wake up and I'd be like, oh shit,
you made pregnancy and having a kid, the labor was hard.
Yeah,
it did not look easy at all. But everything else, you made her look pretty fucking easy.
And I remember when I saw you, you were like all dressed up, like glowing, and then you had your belly, but like, when I was pregnant, dude, I was the opposite. You caught me. I was always dressed up, makeup, hair, like always dressed up. And when I found out I was pregnant, I put all the makeup down. I would like throw my hair up, and I was always like in yoga pants, looking like shit.
No, bro.
Like, everywhere, yes, everywhere. Like I was just like, fuck everything. Like I'm pregnant. Shit, like everything. I was like, I can't work. I can't get ready. I got a baby in me.
Bitch was disabled.
Yeah. She's disabled. Yeah.
Job at the time, sporting news girl. I was like, I'm 5 weeks pregnant. I can't work. I'm out.
Dude, I remember I was cracking up.
Dude, I'm
when you quit your job. I was like, this bitch. Quit her job.
I can't work. I gotta be swollen.
Dude, versus you worked your ass off at 9
Crystal
months
was mad.
hiking.
Crystal was mad that they fucking wouldn't let her go upstairs to the bar area. She's like, that's fucked up. They're discriminating me. And I was like, bitch, you're a fucking liability. Like, you're pregnant. She worked like until like a week before. She was due.
Yeah, our stories are so
different.
opposite, dude. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.